What are your cringy, I'm not like other girls stories that you're embarrassed about or were unfortunate enough to witness? Story 1. I always loved dolls and dressing up as a kid. I would spend all my free time playing with my dolls, but when I went to school, I would scoff at the other girls for playing with dolls. I wanted to be seen as tough and cool. Spoiler, I was neither of those things. For my 10th birthday, my parents worked together to build me some doll furniture. Dad did a lot of woodworking and my mom was good with a sewing machine. Together, they created a cool little wardrobe and bed set for my dolls. They were painted white and had little flower stickers for decoration. My dad even made a little mirror for my dolls to go on the inside of one wardrobe door, and my mom had sewn up a mini mattress for the bed. I just about cried when I opened my presents because I loved them so much. But my friend was sitting right beside me, and I knew if I told my parents I loved the presents, my friend would know I liked dolls. My lies would be undone. So I said, thanks, but I don't like dolls. They're for babies. My parents look so darn sad. I'm 25 years old now and I'm crying as I type this because I still feel so guilty 15 years later. A few years ago, I got drunk at a family gathering and I sobbed to my dad and apologized for what I said and told him I loved the present. He knew. So I got my apology out, but I still feel like such a brat. Story 2. In high school, one of my teachers asked everyone to say one word describing themselves and I said, classy. I die inside every time I remember it. Story 3. I remember being like 14 and this 16-year-old guy asked me what my fantasy was and I said, well, I mean, most girls would like to have Prince Charming on a white horse, but I don't like horses. I'm just different like that. He definitely meant bed fantasies, not like romance, but I needed him to know I was cool and didn't like horses like other girls. Story 4. A girl at school once commented on my Facebook picture, you look so cute, heart. And edgy me said, thanks, you're not getting a heart back, that would be dumb. Story 5. I said stupid stuff like, I'm watching and listening to a dumb, obscure thing. I bet y'all don't know what that is. Facebook memories is going to be the death of me. Good thing is that if you thought your past self was cringe, it just means you grew as a person. Story 6. I was my best friend's maid of honor a few years back and we were wedding dress shopping and this one quirky bride came in was like, whatever dress I get has to go with my red chucks. I'm not one of those girls who wear heels. I've always been different. And the shop lady was like, actually, second to traditional heel or ballet flat, chucks are a super common choice for our many low-maintenance brides. And her whole attitude just deflated. Story 7. I used to think I was so cool for not knowing how to order a Starbucks drink because I just drink regular coffee. By the way, I've always hated black coffee. Story 8. I wanted to be emo, but my parents wouldn't let me dye my hair or buy me new clothes, so I was just an ugly middle school girl with a bad attitude in Bobby Jack outfits. Sounds like my goth phase. Story 9. I think the most embarrassing thing I can recall is my friend doing the nice gesture of showing me a song she thought I would like because I was always going on about liking techno instead of pop. I listened for a few seconds, scoffed, frowned. Remind me to show you some real music, I told her. What I showed her later was a competition music from Nintendogs, my opening up my DS and entering a competition. I cringed so hard I forgot what I was doing. Story 10. One of my best friends in high school decided to take a class in car mechanics. This friend also had zero interest in cars. When I asked her about it, I found out that she has this fantasy of being that girl who walks into a boy-only class and shows them all up. When she got to class the first day and there were 3 other girls enrolled, she was pretty unhappy. Story 11. I'm 29, so I lived as a preteen and teen during the peak AIM days. Putting away messages was the bomb. Eating dinner with your family? Let the world know. BRB? Let them know. Take a shower? Tell everyone. One of my away messages for just that was save water, shower with me, with a kissy face that had the little beauty mark for some reason. OG AIM users, you know the one. I was honestly like 11, literally had never kissed a boy. Guarantee I was also still wearing overalls, kids, and bucket hats. I'm a 4th grade teacher now and I realized that I was an actual baby at the time. I cringe just thinking about it. Overall, I would really like to go back in time and smack some sense into myself. Story 12. I have the reverse version of this story. I'm a gay man, but hadn't come to terms with that at this point in my life, 9th grade. I had a girlfriend, but we were both good Christians, so we mostly just watched Disney movies and hung out. One night, we were lying on the trampoline after watching Pocahontas, and she said, Gustav Holler, I like you because you don't want what the other boys want. She was absolutely right. Story 13. This was in middle school, but back then I was the ultimate pick-me girl. I hated One Direction and was very vocal about it. I had no reason. Everyone else loved them, so I wasn't like other girls. Same with Justin Bieber, but he did turn out to be a jerk. Story 14. Mine was when I was trying to pretend I could work on cars because I had changed my own oil once. So I was bragging to my sister and some of our guy friends about being such a cool girl and told her I'd change hers. I got down to it and was draining the oil and noticed it looked really clean. It was transmission fluid. I drained the transmission fluid. Story 15. I was phoning a girl in middle school and I was showing her my taxidermy bugs and she said, despite me not being a girl, LOL, other girls shop for heels and stuff while we collect stickers and bugs. Story 16. I used to think I was a natural witch after watching The Craft for the first time. It was so cringy. The moodiest middle schooler ever. I miss it. Story 17. Lady next door needed help breaking into her probably not son's friend's car. She said she could do it with a fishing line and I happened to like to fish, so I had some braided heavy pound test and offered it to her. She pulls the amount she needs and tries to break it with her teeth for a while. Me, ma'am, that's a braided line. Her, oh no honey, I'm a country girl. That's beautiful. I never realized being born in the South or a rural area means you can basically chew through steel. Story 18. I cringe now, but it was the girls are too much drama phase for me, and I was a drama. It's taken me a long time to stop looking at other women as competition. Now I crave female friendships. Story 19. I thought I was not like other girls because I didn't drink or party. I thought I was above my classmates who did. In reality, I was just jealous because I was never invited, probably because I was such a snob. I was a total pick-me and I cringe when I think about it. Story 20. I played the ukulele and sang like a stereotypical wannabe manic pixie dream girl. I also tried to get into riding a motorcycle but broke my foot on it on a motorcycle safety course designed to teach new riders to ride. I refuse to even be a passenger on one of those things now, so freaking different and adventurous, SMH. I want to hit the teenage version of me in the face sometimes. Story 21. I took 4 years of auto body repair in high school because I was clearly different from all the other girls. I did end up really liking it, but I started for all the wrong reasons. Story 22. When I was in middle school, we had to make these desk name plates for some teachers, and one of my friends was drawing on hers and wrote, I am an otaku. So what? When she showed me, I said, why that? No one ever said anything about you liking anime. She got upset and didn't talk to me for like a week. For context, I am from Latin America, so liking anime isn't something weird, and she wasn't the only one who watched anime in my class either. Story 23. Oh geez, I started getting baked like all the time. I bought this Bob Marley shirt I wore all the time and made Rasta-colored bracelets, and I felt so cool. Passed out on a rock band drum set and decided that wasn't the life for me. Passed out on a rock band drum set? God bless my friend. God bless. Story 24. A friend of mine started dating the single most dramatic girl I've ever met. We lived on the 4th floor. We always took the elevator, so we all get in to go down to the lunch hall, and she literally dashes for the corner and starts rocking back and forth in a really sad act at being terrified. He runs over to hold her and explains she's terrified of elevators. First, she lived with us on the same floor for 2 months, and we've all seen her on the elevator acting normal. Second, if you're really terrified of elevators, you just walk the 4 floors. It wasn't even that far up. Third, her acting was just terrible. Of course, a few weeks later, she forgot all about it and went back to acting normal on elevators again. Story 25. Told everyone in the 4th grade I ate cat food for snacks. Guy brought Meow Mix to school and told me to eat it. I did. I don't even know, man. I don't even know. If I think about it hard enough, to this day, I still cry. Story 26. In high school, I had this friend who tried so hard to be one of the guys to the point where she would call herself that often. I didn't realize how cringy she was until I ran into her at a party in my 20s. She walked up to my boyfriend, currently my fiancé, grabbed his hat, put it on her head backwards, and asked for a haul of his cigarette. She doesn't even smoke, coughed profusely. She then proceeded to play punch him in the stomach and started calling herself one of the guys again. A few of us just looked at each other awkwardly and slowly trickled away. Story 27. There was a girl I knew in college who always wanted to be the center of attention and be a guy's girl, but very obviously, and it was somewhat cringeworthy. One day, she was walking past one of the men's varsity sports teams, I think football or soccer, and decided to nonchalantly do a handspring and backflip thing. She used to be a gymnast. Well, she screwed up the landing so badly that she messed up her legs and tore her ACLs. Had to have EMTs come and get her loaded up into an ambulance right from the sideline of the field while they finished their practice, and then it took a year for her to recover. Story 28. I wasn't like the other girls because I loved hats, top hats specifically. For like a year in sixth grade, I think I wore a top hat to school and I thought I was the bomb. It's funny now, but oh my God, did I cringe for years after it. Story 29. I spent my middle school years wearing fake coontail extensions and saying "I'll you" to anyone who tried talking to me, especially other girls. I don't know what on earth was wrong with me, but I'm still lying awake at night replaying it all a decade later. Story 30. Something so cliche it hurts to even talk about. I'm a girl. I work at GameStop here in Germany, so one might assume I'm into video games. And for most people, this isn't even something special anymore, so not even a thing worth mentioning. But we had that female customer who came into our shop and wanted to buy one of the Call of Duty games. I don't remember which one. And with the straightest face ever, she came to the counter and told me, obviously female, and my male colleague without asking, "Yeah, that's right, I'm a girl that plays video games. I love playing with my male friends." Like it was so rare and so special that she felt so cool, like so cool. I could barely keep a straight face while my colleague sold her the game, and we burst out laughing after she left the store. Story 31. I used to wear a fedora and watch MLP. Fortunately, I stopped shortly before the neckbeard stereotype really solidified. God was really watching out for me on that one. Story 32. As a teenage girl who grew up listening to classic rock, you can bet your ass I was one of those annoying, modern music sucks, I wish I grew up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, etc. type of girls. Thankfully, I grew out of that, and if I could go back in time and talk some sense into my younger self, I definitely would. Story 33. Technically, I'm talking about a guy, but it's basically the same. So we were in Spanish class, 8th grade. We were in a unit about activities and how to say what you like to do and what you don't like to do. One of the words was listening to music. One kid in my class who was infamous for being extremely pretentious raises his hand and said, "Is there a word for making music?" This on its own isn't that bad, I guess, but after the teacher answered him, the teacher also said that making music is cool. The kid started saying, "Yeah, I'm a musician. I think a lot of people think I'm pretty out there because of it." Then he started talking to the kid next to him about his music the entire class. Oh, and another story with the same kid. We were in drama class one time. Every class, we would get a question we have to answer when roll call gets to us. On that day, the question was, "Who is a musician you really like?" Well, it gets to the kid, and I kid you not, he says himself. Story 34. With almost everything I did, I felt proud of myself for supposedly not being like other girls. I didn't wear the same types of clothes other girls wore. I didn't wear makeup. I was so unique because I liked anime, all that kind of stuff. I tried way too hard to make friends with guys because apparently I thought they were better than girls for some reason. I cringe looking back on it now, but I also feel sad about it. Girls shouldn't feel pitted against each other. Story 35. I hated anything new or trendy because I thought I was cool and contrarian for it from ages 13 to 16. I like to not think about it. Story 36. Girl in university said she wasn't like other girls because she could hold her liquor like a man, so went shot for shot with this big dude. People tried to stop her, but she was going to prove herself, kept saying she was fine. Finally, when she flat out passed out and we ended up having to take her to the ER for what was alcohol poisoning, it was pretty clear she was just super dumb at that moment. Story 37. In middle school, I had the brilliant idea of making myself stand out by convincing everyone I was highly unstable and stalked people in the supermarket with a spork for fun. What? Like, what? I was also just realizing girls existed when put on that over-the-top courtly love. I did wear a fedora if you're wondering. Where I'd message girls on AIM, and when they understandably said, who is this? I would type out, soft chuckle, girl name, can you think of no one? I will give you a hint. And then proceed to send her the results of those anime personality tests like she's really supposed to guess. The unstable, condescending idiot lover mixed really well together to create a gluttonous, chunky creep smoothie. This hurts so much to read. Story 38. I refused to wear the skirts in my school uniforms and wore trousers instead, even though 95% of the girls wore the skirts. Then in my final year of school, I tried skirts and I felt like an idiot for suffering 4 years straight with trousers just so I didn't look like the other girls. Story 39. A girl, when asked about interests, said, I don't have any. I'm normal. After work, I go home, consume flavorless sustenance, and then stare at the wall until sleeping time. This is normal. Story 40. I was fortunate enough to witness this one. My now wife and I, UK nationals, were living in Uganda for a time in about 2000 while she did some studying. We tried to travel around the country as much as possible whilst there. Anyone who travels anywhere at all has met travelers, the cliches, the people who've been everywhere, seen everything, and done it all before anyone else did it, at half the cost and with the full approval of the local people. One time we were in a little town on the shores of Lake Victoria. You could catch fishermen's boats from this place out to an archipelago called the CC Islands, I think. You needed to be carried to the boats by a local porter due to a parasite in the water. The locals had this parasite from childhood and live with it, okay, but it's not good to catch it. I did, and it wasn't. There were a few Westerners in a cafe-type place waiting for boats. One guy, Dave, we knew from other trips. He was great. He traveled a fair bit, but was totally naive and believed anything people said in a nice way. He always wanted to hear people's stories and was open to anything he was told. Another person was one of these traveler types, dreadlocks, tie-dye pants, you know the type. She said something like, "I've traveled every way known to man, but I've never been carried by a person. I'm looking forward to completing my list." And then Dave said, and totally meant it, which gave it a devastating power. "Really? That must be awesome. What's it like on a submarine?" Watching her flounder, prevaricate, and finally have to answer, "I've never been on a submarine," was way more enjoyable than it should have been were I a more worthy person. I'm not though, so it was great. Story 41. I was a melt a plastic spork into a bracelet type of girl. Story 42. I went to high school with such a try-hard to be just that. She thought she was being cool and edgy with everyone because she thought everyone liked her, and that her sense of humor was so good. Turns out she was just obnoxious and her humor was nothing but insults and demeaning comments about people at first glance. Biggest cringe moment was when we were trying out for soccer. Some of the men's soccer team were volunteering at the tryouts, help the coaches, taking notes, running drills, starting warm-ups, etc. And I was friends with them either by classes or mutual friends. This chick got so butthurt at the fact that I was having a conversation with someone that she actually inserted herself into every conversation she saw me having to try and make herself look better and insult me. I brushed it off and moved on because I don't have time for that. Second biggest cringe was that she started a rumor that I was sleeping with a guy I was good friends with. Turns out she didn't bother checking if he was in a relationship. He was in a 5-year relationship at that point. He called her out and told her that was the last straw and stopped being friends with her. Ended up making a lot of people feel really shady about her after that. Story 43. I do not know what actually possessed me to do this, but once in like 3rd grade, we took a field trip and were riding in a chartered bus. I had a massive crush on the boy sitting in front of me and his slightly older brother was sitting with him. We had passed something that smelled terrible and they were like, "Ew, oh my God, what is that?" I literally tapped one of them and was like, "Yeah, I'm so sorry, that was me," but I hadn't even farted. And then I told them about 2 or 3 more farts I had and apologized if they smelled them. I have no idea why or what on earth was wrong with me. It was the only reason I could think of to talk to them, I guess. Story 44. My not like other girls phase was unfortunately the hyper-religious kind. I'd wear the most unflattering clothes possible because modesty, smugly muttering modest is hottest, and all the other girls who were, in hindsight, justifiably upset with the school dress code. I also blared contemporary Christian music from my phone far too often during sports events. The list goes on. Luckily, it didn't last that long and I was able to actually get to know some of the other girls and made some good friends by the end of high school. Story 45. I wore a collar to school, a dog collar. In my defense, at least I didn't bark or growl at people. I just wore the collar as an accessory. I eventually swapped it for a necklace later on. Oh, we also had a horse girl or cowgirl, not sure what you'd call it. Anyway, she'd make sure everyone knew she wasn't, quote-unquote, a city girl. Out of nowhere, most memorable was due to biology. Story 46. I said, if I end up going to college with any of you, then I failed to my junior year math classmates. All I meant to say was that I wanted to go to an out-of-state college. I just picked the absolute worst way to say it. I didn't even realize until later how bad it sounded.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out this next video. The YouTube algorithm really thinks you like it.